السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. قال الله تعالى في الفرقان الحميد: الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. صدق الله العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وسلم تسليما. My noble brothers, sisters and elders, last week we spoke about a very important step that should be taken by every Muslim so he can attain a level of Iman. That step was that we should give da'wat to humanity on a frequent basis. We spoke about that in detail last week, so we won't dwell over that point today. The second point to be noted, or the second step to be taken, is the dhikr of Allah Rabbul Izzat increases the Iman. Kathrat dhikr, the remembrance of Allah Rabbul Izzat increases the Iman. Now many a times when we speak about dhikr, the meaning that comes to mind is to engage the tongue in the remembrance of Allah Rabbul Izzat. But that is not the correct definition of dhikr. Dhikr is that the entire body and every ability of the body engages in good. That's why one Sahabi, he said to the Prophet of Allah, فَأَيُّ الْإِيمَانِ أَفْضَلِ? Which Iman is the greatest? Which Iman holds the highest rank? And the Prophet of Allah said, Al-Hijrah. Now Hijrah means migration. So the Sahabi could not connect Hijrah with Iman. So the Sahabi said, فَمَا الْهِجْرَةِ? O Prophet of Allah, what do you mean by Hijrah? And the Prophet of Allah said, تَهْجُرُ السُّوءِ. تَهْجُرُ السُّوءِ, to give up evil. To make Hijrah from the village of evil to the village of piety. To make Hijrah from the village and the town of evil to the village and the town of piety. That is the highest level of Iman. So when we say the remembrance of Allah Rabbul Izzat, we cannot confine it to keeping the tongue moist with the dhikr of Allah, but it has to be inclusive to every act and every action that this body produces. That's why in Urdu I have made this mention many a times. There are two statements. Ek hai Allah ko yaad karna, aur ek hai Allah ko yaad rakhna. One is to remember Allah, and one is to sustain that remembrance. So when a person uses the tongue in the obedience of Allah Rabbul Izzat, he is remembering Allah. But the maqsad of this is that when he stops using this tongue, the body follows in obedience. If the body doesn't follow in obedience, he has remembered Allah by the tongue, but Allah ko yaad nahi rakha. But he has not in the reality remembered Allah. So the step to be taken is the remembrance of Allah Rabbul Izzat. And the remembrance of Allah is inclusive to every act that this body produces. That it produces a'mal salihah. I've heard from one scholar, he says that this body is a machine that produces a'mal salihah. Ye to ek machine hai. This is a machine that should produce a'mal salihah. It has not been made to produce a'mal sayyah. So if we use anything in this world for something that it has not been created for, we are committing a crime towards that thing. Likewise, this body has been created to serve Allah Rabbul Izzat. It has been created to commit to the obedience of Allah. If we use it for anything else, it is injustice. Ye to zulm hai. This is a wrongdoing. So the remembrance of Allah Rabbul Izzat is very, very important. I would like to draw the attention of my noble audience to a very ajib statement of our Prophet. The Prophet of Allah says, Innal Iman la yakhluqu fi jawfi ahadikum kama yakhluqu thawbul khaliq. Fas'alullaha an yujaddid al-iman fi qulubikum. Ajib. So the Prophet of Allah is given an example so we can understand what Iman goes through. First of all, Iman sits in the vessel. This is the vessel, the heart. Iman sits in this vessel. So the vessel has to be pure. And this vessel will only be pure when we collect purity. If we look at impurity, it is going to be filled with impurity. If we listen to impurity, it is going to be filled with impurity. So we collect purity and we cleanse this heart, this vessel, so it can accept Iman. The reason behind it is that the Prophet of Allah says, Innal Iman la yakhluq fi jawfi ahadikum. Iman becomes torn and tattered in the heart. Iman becomes torn and tattered. Purana ho jata hai, in the heart. Kama yakhluqu thawbul khaliq. Just like clothes. When you wear clothes, after a couple of days, you feel that your clothes have become dirty. It catches dust, it collects dust. Kama yakhluqu thawbul khaliq. It will become dirty. Likewise, Iman becomes dirty. Fas'alullaha an yujaddid al-imana fi qulubikum. So the Prophet of Allah says, ask Allah Rabbul Izzat frequently to renew the Iman. So the instruction that we find in this hadith is, khoob dua karni hai. We have to make a lot of dua that Allah Rabbul Izzat renews this Iman. Because when we look at something, or we do something, or we listen to something that is unlawful, incorrect, it makes this Iman torn and tattered. And when the Iman becomes torn and tattered, then it is very easy to engage in acts that are unlawful. And that's why one Sahabi, he asked the Prophet of Allah regarding Iman. What is Iman? Different statements of our Prophet. And the Prophet of Allah said, إِذَا صَرَّتْكَ حَسَنَتُكَ وَسَاءَتْكَ سَيِّئَتُكَ فَأَنْتَ مُؤْمِنٌ. Yeah, Iman. That when a person is allowed by Allah to engage in good, it gives him pleasure. And when something gives you true pleasure, you don't publicize it. You don't publicize it. When it gives you true pleasure, you don't publicize it. If one person, he enjoys a sport, he will go. He will not mention it to anyone else. He will go and he will start to play. He enjoys it. إِذَا سَرَّتْكَ حَسَنَتُكَ. If a person is allowed by Allah to engage in good, he feels pleasure. وَإِذَا سَاءَتْكَ سَيِّئَتُكَ. And when he does fall to evil, the devil, the nafs ammara, gets the better of him. He engages in evil. Hum farishte to nahi hai, we're not malaika, we're not infallible, we will fall. But this falling and this committing to evil gives him great regret. He feels remorse, pain. Kya kiya maine? What did I do? And because of that regret and that remorse, he stands up immediately. فَأَنْتَ مُؤْمِنٌ. He's a mu'min. So it is very, very important to understand what the Prophet of Allah is saying. That this Iman becomes torn and tattered. I've mentioned before, it is the environment in which we place ourselves that has an impact, positive or negative, upon the vessel, that eventually allows the Iman to grow from strength to strength or to drop to the lowest part. It is up to us. Fas'alullah, Allah se mango. Ask Allah Rabbul Izzat, an yujaddid al-iman fi qulubikum, that Allah Rabbul Izzat allow this Iman to be renewed. So dua is very, very important. I pose a question to myself, directly then indirectly to all my brothers and sisters that are listening. How many a times have I, all my brothers and sisters that are listening, made dua that, oh Allah, you have given me Iman, renew it? Maybe once or twice in our lifetime. The reason behind it is the ahmiyat. The value of Iman is not there. The value of Iman is not there. It is in words, it is in writing, it is in books. But the true value of Iman is not there. What is valuable to us is what we express to Allah in our du'as. How many a times people come to myself and they say, Imam Sahib, make dua that Allah give us prosperity. Allah give us abundance. Allah give us children. But I can count on the fingers. There may not be many. Only a few in the 14 years that I've been here that said, make dua that Allah allow our Iman to grow from strength to strength. I can count them on the finger. Same, if I go to somebody, I won't ask for Iman. I won't say to him, ask Allah to renew my Iman. Vice versa. Because the ahmiyat, the value of Iman has not settled in the heart. Because this is not the market of Iman. Ye mandi nahi hai uski. Ye sook nahi hai uska. It is not the market of Iman. And that's why in the entire world, think about it, you analyze, those people that work upon Iman and promote and project Iman, they are considered to be the lowest in the community. You look around, analyze. And who are the people that are projected to be on the high stage? It is the people that are working in another field. You can analyze. Fas'alullaha an yujaddid al-iman fi qulubikum. Allah se mango. Make a lot of dua that Allah renew your Iman. There are 4 things that we have, you and me. In Urdu we call it mal, jaan, izzat and Iman. Mal, jaan, izzat, Iman. Allah Rabbul Izzat says in Surah Tawbah, Inna Allah ashtara min al-mu'minina anfusahum wa amwalahum bi'anna lahumul jannah. 2 of the gifts that we hold, that we believe that are very dear, have been classified as important by Allah in the Quran. Allah says, Inna Allah ashtara, I bargain with you. Allah makes a trade with us. You give your life and your wealth to me, and in lieu I will give you Jannah. So these are 2 things that are very, very precious. Allah considers them to be precious. But we find in daily life that one is sacrificed over the other. If one person is in the ICU unit, he's in the ICU, and the doctor comes to the family members and says, look, bachne ka imkaan nahi hai, he's not going to survive. But there is an injection, $10,000. There is a chance, 50-50, that he may survive, but it's a $10,000 injection. What happens? Do the family members say, let him die? Forget about the $10,000 injection? No, they will go and buy it. True? In our countries, And I'm not making this up, I've spoken with doctors. At that time, because the family members are restless, they are ready to sacrifice anything to save their family member. So the doctor will write injection. Now the clinic is downstairs, the chemist is downstairs, they have an agreement. The doctor has written on the paper in his own writing that is bande ne bachna nahi. This person is not going to survive. But he says to him, $10,000 tika, yeah, injection, and he will survive. The person will go running down, he will give a drip of water for $10,000. The person has died. Happens in our countries. Crooks. But what am I trying to emphasize and prove? That for life, a person will give up mal. He will sacrifice wealth to save the life. So first in rank is mal. It is wealth. But wealth will be sacrificed to protect the life. After life, there's another precious gift that Allah has given us, izzah, honor. Honor. And that's why the honor of a girl has been upheld by Islam, enhanced in Islam. That at the time of marriage, when the qadi or the imam or the wakil questions the girl, do you accept Mr. So-and-so? Because of her honor, because of her dignity, because of her modesty, haya, she becomes silent, she doesn't speak. So what do the Muslim jurists say? That if she remains silent, this is acceptance on behalf of her honor. Muslim fuqaha have made it very clear that if one lady is being attacked by an evil person, and he wants to fulfill his carnal desires, and in this ordeal she gives her life, she's a shaheeda. Muslim jurists have made it very clear that if one lady is being attacked by a beast, by a person that is deprived of morals and conduct and humanity, and she gives her life, but she does not allow her honor to be torn and tattered, she's a shaheeda. So to protect the life, a person gives up wealth. And to protect the life, a person gives up the izzah. Yes? So izzat is after the jaan. But these three that I have mentioned have no value compared to iman. A person can give his mal, his jaan and his izzah to protect iman. Sahaba went to Rome. The Roman king said, you have given us da'wah, I'm ready to accept, but there's one condition. There's one condition. So the Sahaba said, what is that condition? So the king said that if Hazrat Umar, the Khalifa of the time, can give his daughter in marriage to me, I will accept Islam. Hazrat Umar, the Khalifa, gives his daughter in marriage to me, I will accept Islam. Sahabi said that this is the izzat of Hazrat Umar. I cannot make a decision. I can't say yes and I can't say no. So the person didn't accept Islam. The Sahabi went back and he gave the karguzari to Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala an. What did Hazrat Umar say? He said, is the izzat of Umar greater than Iman? Is the izzat of Umar greater than the Iman of a person? So Iman is greater than izzah. It is greater than jaan, life, and it is greater than mal. And what did the Prophet of Allah say? فَاسْأَلُوا اللَّهَ أَن يُجَدِّدَ الْإِيمَانَ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. Allah said, Mango, ask Allah to renew your Iman. One day the Prophet of Allah said to the Sahaba, جَدِّدُوا إِيمَانَكُمْ. قِيلَ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ وَكَيْفَ نُجَدِّدُ إِيمَانَنَا. وَكَيْفَ نُجَدِّدُ إِيمَانَنَا. قال أكثروا من قول لا إله إلا الله. The Prophet of Allah says to the Sahaba, renew your Iman. كيف نجدد. How do we renew our Iman, O Prophet of Allah? The Prophet of Allah says, أَكْثِرُوا مِنْ قَوْلِ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. The frequent utterance of La ilaha illallah will renew the Iman. And that's why the Sufiya Kiram, the people that worked upon the cultivation of the heart, the spirituality, and upheld the Quran and the Sunnah, when we study their lifestyle, we find that they give a solid half an hour or an hour to the dhikr of La ilaha illallah. Zarbe lagate La ilaha illallah. Zarbe. The more La ilaha illallah is said with focus, with attention, it's not only the tongue, but La ilaha illallah. Uttering it, thinking about it. And the best time to do dhikr, just for your information, is before Salatul Fajr. Best time for tilawat is after Salatul Fajr. After Salatul Fajr. And best time for dhikr is before Salatul Fajr. So if a person wakes up for tahajjud, he can read the Quran in tahajjud. But before Salatul Fajr, he should make dhikr. And the ulama kiram have made mention, and this is the starting package. This is the starting package. If I intend to lose weight today, I won't start running from Brisbane to Sydney today. I'll have to build up my stamina. If I start running from here to Sydney, most probably I'll drop down, I'll have cramps, dehydrated, and I may even lose my life. So every day I have to improve. And a day may come that I can run in the marathon. Likewise, the starting, the entry level of dhikr that we are talking about is La ilaha illallah 100 times. Every day. Sit down. I'm not talking about driving and making dhikr, because your entire body is not engaged in that dhikr. Because your eyes are looking right and left, so you're avoiding other obstacles and other cars. But I'm talking about sitting down before Salatul Fajr, if possible. If not possible, after Salatul Fajr, or before going to sleep, or whenever you have quiet time where children are not running around, sit down, La ilaha illallah, thinking about that there is no one worthy of worship besides Allah. Istighfar 100 times. Asking Allah to forgive 100 times. Thinking about our shortcomings. Thinking about what we have done in the past. Tell you something beautiful. The scholars have said that when we make a mistake and we ask forgiveness for Allah, ask forgiveness from Allah, never think about it again. Never think about it again. Because Allah forgives and forgets. Allah forgives and forgets. The witnesses to the evil, they don't forgive because Allah forgives, but they forget. The malaika erase. So when Allah forgives and forgets, we should forgive and forget. But we say istighfar 100 times because there are many acts that we engage in that are unlawful but we do not realize. So 100 times every day. And the third dhikr is the durood. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Whichever durood you want to read, but 100 times every day. This is the starting, entry level. Then we will increase it. Everyone can increase it slowly and gradually. They will realize, but there has to be istiqamah. There has to be istiqamah. We have been speaking on Iman for the last 4 months. And I will conclude today on a note. We have understood that it is very important. We have understood that there is an effort required to sustain it and to improve it. We have understood that there is an environment in which we have to place ourselves so it becomes easy for us to sustain it. But at the end, I would like to make mention that in reality, when we study the Quran and the Ahadith Mubarakah, our Iman should be so strong. Now there are so many stories in the Quran. The story of Qawm Shu'aib, Qawm Nuh, Yusuf alayhi salatu wassalam, Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. But what lesson do we draw from these stories in relation to Iman. So Maulana Paranpuri, Rahmatullah alayhi, has mentioned something beautiful. He says, when we read the story of Shu'aib alayhi salatu wassalam, when we study the story of Shu'aib alayhi salatu wassalam and his nation, our Iman should give us the understanding that tijarat cannot do anything. Tijara, money. Shu'aib alayhi salatu wassalam's nation were proud. And they were proud because Allah gave them wealth and tijara. Because of this tijara and the intoxication of this tijara, they forgot about their Creator, the one that gave them the tijara, the business. So our Iman should push us that tijarat mein kuch nahi hai. Sab kuch Allah se hota hai. Indeed, we make tijara, we do tijara, because the prophets did it, the Sahaba did it, but we believe that everything happens from Allah. Success is not in tijara. Study the story of Nuh alayhi salatu wassalam. Kathrat. Kathrat se kuch nahi hota. Manpower, number cannot give us success or failure. Success and failure comes from above. Hazrat Nuh alayhi salatu wassalam and 80 people around him in front of the entire nation. They are confronted by the entire nation, 80 people. But the kathrat, the number on that side, could not defeat these people. The army that will hold the largest number from the time of Hazrat Adam alayhi salatu wasalam till the day of judgment is Ya'juj Ma'juj. Largest number. Ek hawa chalegi, sab halak ho jayenge. One wind will blow and destroy the entire nation of Ya'juj Ma'juj, the largest in number. Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam's story tells us this is Iman, the stories of Iman in relation to the stories. Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam's wazarat, kursi. A lot of people don't want to give up this kursi. They have made billions of dollars, but still the intoxication of power and authority does not allow them to move away. The story of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam tells us clearly that there's nothing in this kursi. Allah gave him wazara, but wazara without taqwa, without obedience, is of no benefit. The prophet that has been mentioned the most in the Quran is Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. He has been mentioned in 28 juz of the glorious Quran. There are 30 juz. In 28 juz, Allah has mentioned Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. The story of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam says, the Fir'aun of the time, do not be afraid of him. Fir'aun of the time. You can read between the two lines. I don't have to spell it out. There are Fir'auns of every time. The Fir'aun of Musa could not do anything. The Fir'aun of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Jahl, could not do anything. What did the Prophet of Allah say? The Fir'aun of this ummah is greater in evil than the Fir'aun of Musa, Abu Jahl. How many times did the Prophet of Allah invite him to Iman? 3,000 times. Phir bhi khabis nahi mana. 3,000 times. And at the time when Fir'aun was dying, in Surah Yunus it has been made mention at that time, when he saw the unseen, and the seen become the unseen, unseen becomes the seen. At that time he says, I accept the Rabb of Musa and Harun. Too late. But it has been said about Abu Jahl that he was lying there. He was taking his last breath. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud was standing over him. He placed his foot on his chest. He knew he was going to die. And he says that, don't you know that this is the chest of Abu Jahl? Paun piche karo. Tum ghareeb aadmi, faqir. You're a poor person. Your feet do not deserve to be on this chest. So much arrogance. This was the Fir'aun of Ummat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the lesson from Musa alayhi salatu wasalam's story is, jitne bhi Fir'aun, It doesn't matter if it is Fir'aun of Musa, or Fir'aun of Muhammad, or Fir'aun of 2011. Kuch nahi karega. Can't do nothing. Has no power. Ultimate power lies with Allah. Whatever Allah decides, that is what is going to happen. The Fir'aun of this time may eat something and he may choke on it. Choke. Die on it. So we should not be afraid of anyone. That's why they say La ilaha illallah has many translations. And one of them is La mukhawwaf illallah. La mukhawwaf illallah. Hum darte to sirf Allah se darte. We fear anyone, we fear Allah Rabbul Izzat. But we don't jump into fire. We are wise people. We should know what is happening around us. Iman gives us that wisdom, that farasa. So when we study the Quran, study it with the belief, with the concept that this is going to increase your Iman. When you read the stories that how did the prophets pass through these hard times. أَنَّ النَّاسَ قَدْ جَمَعُوا لَكُمْ فَخْشَوْهُمْ فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَتَسْلِيمًا. Ajib. Allah says regarding the Sahaba that when you put them in a difficult field, you place them at a difficult station, the environment that surrounds them, that suffocates them, materialistically, فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَتَسْلِيمًا. It increases the Iman. That is Iman. That when we are placed in an environment that suffocates us, when we don't find an exit around us, when people are kicking us from pillar to post, at that time, فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَتَسْلِيمًا. Iman increases. We become more strong in our faith. وَتَسْلِيمًا. And we become more Muslim, submissive to the order of Allah. Are we ready to do that? Allah Rabbul Izzah give you me tawfiq to implement what we have heard. For the last 3 months we have been speaking about 3-4 months about Iman. Whatever has been said, if there was anything that was said that was incorrect, Allah forgive me for that. If there was anything, or if anything was said that was right, Allah give me and my brothers and sisters the tawfiq, the ability to implement it. Allah give us a strong Iman, a Iman that can get us through all the obstacles that face every single human being, and allow us to enter into Jannah without hisab kitab. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.